It seems that across my research, I've neglected to mention the current affairs of humans on this plane. This is partly as I am one myself, so didn't feel the need, and the other being, well, the current happenings of the two current human nations. To explain the current situation, we'll have to go back a bit, approximately 200 years. This was the period in which the current Cinder dynasty was established by the initial conquest of the 5 kingdoms at the hand of the King of Cinders, a figure wreathed in propaganda and misconstrued stories. But what we do know for sure is that these kingdoms were brought to heel by force at the clawed hand of the king's greatest weapon, who goes by many names, such as the Sun Eater, the Cinder Wing, he who breathes sun rays, but his true name is Asindorax the Cinder Scaled. This dragon near single-handedly subjected all pre-existing nations, from the western desert to the eastern flatlands. I should probably go over these regions while I'm at it. Firstly, the west, now known as Zanthia, ruled by the Zan branch of the Cinderkin dynasty. This is a sun-scorched land, painted with a series of vast deserts, and dotted with the ruins of the nations felled by the King of Cinders. Even the castle in the capital, known as Flavera, is built within these scorched hollow ruins, and truly makes for a striking visual. And from what I've heard, the city as a whole shares this quality, with the capital lighting up as the sun sets, with an ornate network of torches spanning the streets, illuminating the vibrant nightlife of the city. As the people of Zanthia, despite being climatized to the harsh sun and using methods such as painting their own skin to protect from the sun, many tend to be more active in the evenings as the sun sets and into the night. This has cultivated an abundant nightlife among the residents, with the streets being in a near constant state of celebration. As with such a diverse range of cultures found here, they always find some reason to celebrate, with a range of vibrant attire to match. And watching over this all are the Zan branch of the Cinder dynasty, currently headed by Halzanliara Zan Cinderkin. This branch is distinguished by their hair and eyes, that both share a fluorescent yellow hue. They tend to match this with abundance of golden jewellery. This is all in stark contrast to their deep brown skin, with patches of jet black. But one of the most eye-catching features are their ornate crown of jet black horns, dotted with flecks of dull amber and adorned with gold. They pose as these horns, among other draconic features, due to the fact that, like the rest of the ruling families, all trace lineage to the first Cinder King, though I also believe the constant exposure to dragons, and while on that topic, this branch of the family are in possession of the Draco Aquatilus breed of dragon, with their crowning dragon Ishzan being the first dragon born from Asindorax and second only to him in size. These dragons patrol the coast, giving their riders unrivaled control of the seas. The Zan branch was gifted with this dragon due to them being the first to side with the first Cinder King, as opposed to the other royals in the other 2 kingdoms that we'll soon get to. Next is the south, now known as Kionia. This kingdom is dense with mountain ranges and the ruins of burned spears, both of which seem to compete to reach the highest, though most of these grand ruins are obscured by snow. The biggest of these towers now work as the base or shell of new mountain settlements, with villages and towns being built into the remains of these constructs. As it's been noted, the strange heat seems to radiate from the very stone of the towers. Many have theorized on the source of this heat, but most residents don't look too much into it since it's what keeps these areas habitable. Speaking of the residents, the population of Kionia mostly concentrated in densely populated mountaintop settlements, and due to the nature of how Kionia joined the empire, a large number of the spires built by the old countries still remain along with their artifacts, giving the people of this land a strong connection to history and the arts, the later of which they have a lot of time to enjoy due to spending most of their time indoors to avoid the hostile weather outside. But when they have to leave, it's usually done by those with access to wyverns, but those unlucky enough to have to leave without one have to make use of a network of bridges and mountainside roads. Though the people of this land are well equipped for this journey, with head-to-toe cold protection, with one of their most standout examples being their masks, which work to keep cold air off their face while also preventing snow blindness. And on top of the practical use, people also have begun to use them as a sort of fashion statement, since even in the harsh mountains, the people still keep their love for the arts. And looking over this all are the Kionian branch of the Cinder dynasty, ruling from the capital city Alcaraz, headed by Ilsharkaya Lara May Cinderkin. This family is distinguished by their almost metallic blue hair and fluorescent blue eyes, and not to mention their crown of twisting horns. Like the rest of the Cinderkin royals, they all trace descent to the first Cinder King and the old royal families that joined his cause. For this specific family, they were gifted the dragon Alvilol, second dragon, born of Asindarax, and all dragons descended from it. These long winding dragons are especially suited for this land due to their adaptations for flight, giving their riders undisputed control of the sky. Now onto the next and final kingdom, Raria. Located in the far east of the empire, this land is mostly made up of vast faultlands and rolling hills, with the temperature decreasing the further east you go. Along the land is dotted with the burned ruins of the old kingdoms, with some even reporting smoke bellowing from the ruins to this day. This isn't the only cryptic belief held in the kingdom, as a vast majority of the Ruberian people hold into myths and legends that were prevalent in the old kingdoms. This mixed with the stigmatization of the old kingdoms has led to these old folk stories being seen as spirits or demons of sorts. These have bled into the culture and traditions of the kingdom, with these monsters being depicted in plays and parades. And watching over this all is the Ruberian branch of the Cinderkin dynasty, currently headed by Al-Ruvalea, Rusinderkin. This family is distinguished by their flaming red hair and eyes that burn with an equal intensity. This branch of the family has a particularly strong connection to their kingdom's military, as due to the nature of Ruberia's creation, there still seem to be traces of those loyal to the old kingdoms and have been causing trouble in the countryside. And to combat this, the military has been making pushes to these locations to neutralize this resistance. And in this process, one of the most crucial weapons for this has been the dragon Vashkrala, third dragon born of Asindarax, known as the Raging Sun. This dragon and its descendants are seen as the most violent of the Empire's dragons, and most link this to how the East was conquered. It was said to have put up the most resistance against the first Cinder King and suffered the most damage as a result. Though even with the seemingly complete destruction of the old kingdoms, its ashes still remain. In the wake of the formation of the Cinder Empire, many high-ranking nobles and military forces fled the land and amassed in our region on the outskirts of the continent, bordering Palmas. This new nation has formed from those displaced during the conquest, now known as Ashwar, has been able to plan towards the reconquest of the empire for three key reasons. One, its location in a rugged mountain range has allowed it to fortify against dragon attacks, with vast fortresses carved into the mountains. Two, the high population of mages, due to the majority of nobles and high-ranking families in the old empire being magically inclined. This has led to the population of the Ashwar having a higher average of mages in the population, which have been militarized. 3. Due to the location of the Ashwar, it has begun to receive support from factions outside of the continent, chief among these being dwarven craftsmen, this being seen in the mountain bunker architecture, and especially in the use of golems in the battlefield. All of this has kept the Ashwar afloat and fuel the ongoing conflict between the two human nations. That is all for now. Hello, I basically made this video to be the one on humans because people were asking about that, but I didn't really have much to say. So instead, I basically just explained what humans are up to at the moment with the war, and essentially the guys that didn't die in the conquest are now all concentrated in the Ashwar and are trying to reconquer the empire. But that's kinda hard since they basically have 20 flying nukes. But it's kinda evened out with the Ashwar having a higher percentage of mages and the use of dwarf weapons. But that's it for now. Thanks for watching and see you next time.